We are live. Thank you for tuning in to Naijha Speaks. I'm Naijha Wright Brown. Let me help you find your vegan soul through food, people, events, and culture. We're talking about food justice today. Really grounding ourselves in it. It is Black History Month, you know. So, welcome, Crystal Forman and Hemi Kim. How are you doing this morning?
Well, thanks for having us on, Naja. We appreciate it.
Oh, no, I appreciate you. I appreciate that you're focusing on food justice and grounding ourselves in the history. Why are we doing this? Why? What is the purpose?
Yeah, so we talk about Black history a lot, and we don't focus on like the historical aspects of agriculture and what African descendants and indigenous folks have done for this country for agriculture. So I thought this was a great opportunity to bring the history in and ground ourselves in history before we move forward. So this is the first of a series of talks. So this is just a way for us to learn about the past as well as grounding ourselves in the past and moving forward and taking action steps as well. Yeah, it's very important that we also just acknowledge all of the wonderful inventions, all of the wonderful things we have in food, and what the contributions have been over the past several hundred years, especially in the Americas.
There is an event coming up. I see I have the flyer up there. Saturday, February 25th from 1 to 2:30. There is a free Zoom event, Food Justice Grounding Ourselves in History. Eric Jackson of Black Yield Institute, Crystal of Holistic Wellness and Health, and Hemi Kim of the Unity Collective will be speaking at this event. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Crystal. You start.
Sure. So I am the owner of Holistic Wellness and Health. I'm on the board of the Black Veg Society, and I'm on the board of the Baltimore City Master Gardeners. I am a gardener, herbalist, Reiki practitioner as well. I mostly focus on food justice from the point of view of making sure people know how to use the food the farms grow. And I work with the farms directly to make sure that they have everything they need to run their farm in a safe manner, from doing risk assessments to food safety plans, making sure they have all of those things in place. So if they want to get grants or other certifications, they will have those opportunities. I have been doing health and wellness education for over 20 years, and specifically food justice and plant based cooking as well as teaching for over 7 years, teaching people how to actually use all of the produce and eliminate food waste, and also teaching people how to grow their own food. So I work with a lot of youth, and we do culturally appropriate growing of food to cooking that food and showing them how they can make that into a business as well.
Thank you. Hemi?
Yes. So I'm a Korean American who was born in Brazil, and I grew up in the Northern Virginia area as sort of a latchkey kid in the 80s. And those experiences have informed my work. So I worked in immigrant rights organizations for about 10 years to help increase access to healthcare, voting rights, and the participation of Asian Americans in society. I then went on to teach disabled students in the public school systems to help them exercise their right to education. And while both of those experiences were not free of oppressive practices, they were the resulting expression of wanting to change social norms towards accepting people who don't fit in. So and that's where I met Crystal, was at the Global Majority Caucus at Apex Advocacy. And I also, since then, in addition to meeting Crystal, I also met two other organizers who have joined with me to focus our efforts on trying to implement equity-based practices in the funded vegan and animal protection spaces. And that effort is named Unity Collective. So I'm here as a friend and colleague of Crystal, but at the event, I'll also be uh, wearing a little hat for Unity Collective as well.
Hemi, you do such amazing work, and Crystal, you too. Hemi's worked with Black Vet Society on a couple of things as well, so it's great to see everyone getting together. And yes, the Global Caucus is where I met you, Hemi. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful group of people of the global majority. And if folks you don't know what that is, look it up. It's the Global Caucus, and we are the people of the global majority. Great leadership group. They're doing amazing things. Um, Black farmer injustice. This is a topic that has been spoken about many times on this show. You know, I don't know if you know Omawale Adewale. I have him on a few times, and Kennedy Little, who's also working with Black Vet Society, has also been on talking about farm transitions and the Black farmer injustice. Can you two talk about this issue, because it's just ongoing? Speak
It's
some things about it.
ongoing. Yeah, and unfortunately, it's happening right now. There's a farmer in Colorado who has been harassed since he's bought his land. He's lots of acres, and you can learn more at Black Farmland Owners Matter. But they're actively trying to take his land, and so even though we've been going through this for hundreds of years, and having land stolen from farmers is not over. So we still need to take action to protect our farmers, to protect our farms, and to put political action on the federal government as well as our local government. Sometimes the local government's the problem. And so you need to go beyond wherever you are locally. And in this case, for this farmer, it is a local issue. They do not want him there. And even the police are involved in moving him off of his land. And so that's when you have to go beyond your local jurisdiction. And that's what they've done. They've called for all of us to call in and write. So these are activities like that are happening right now. There are a lot of farmers. We've lost a lot of land, since the early 1900s. We had a lot more land than we have now as Black farmers. But there's a resurgence of young farmers learning. I've been to a lot of conferences this winter where we're seeing a lot of education for Black farmers. The Farm Alliance of Baltimore has the Black Butterfly Institute. Black Yield Institute is also training farmers. So there's a lot of, new farmers coming in enthusiastic. And when they get these lands, we need them to be able to hold on to the land. And that means having structures in place to protect them locally as well as federally. And then making sure that it's not just written on the laws, but it's actually enacted and that people are actually protected. And there are a lot of ways that we can all participate in making sure that happens. But yeah, it's very important, even now, that the little bit of land that Black farmers do own is still being threatened. And so it's something that we need to be talking about. The issue in Colorado just happened last week. So we're talking about, like, it's an ongoing thing. Yeah, so it's just definitely something that I need people to be aware of. I know we've talked about past injustices and reparations and getting land back, and there has been some lawsuits with Black farmers in the USDA, and there has been some good positive changes and strides, and they're also rewriting some things. The USDA is starting to have more grants specifically for marginalized communities, small farmers, and people of the global majority. But we need to go beyond just having those laws and making sure that we have them be accountable to making sure that justice is being enacted.
Thank you for that, Crystal. What you're saying, especially about the land that's being taken, because I know I was personally in a situation with the heirs land. If anyone knows those issues, and that's still ongoing, and we're talking about a lot of land, close to 35 acres, and it's it's sometimes if you don't have the estate, the will, and all this other stuff, that's where all this confusion happens, and land can be easily taken away because of that. So we're making sure that that's not the issue. So we're working hard to retain the land, but that's how those things happen, or the law is just coming in and taking it. So yeah.
I just want to bring up a story of my stepmother, because I told her we were doing this, and my stepmother's uncle had over 100 acres of land. He grew the most beautiful tobacco. People were jealous of him, and they would spray his crops at night and kill. They literally killed everything. Grass would not even grow anymore. And so, and that just broke his heart. And there was nothing he could do. This was years ago, but I mean, and he was very determined to try. But I mean, when they destroy your land, like literally destroy the soil where you can't grow anything, and then there's the records of the USDA and other agencies giving our farmers bad seed on purpose, giving them seed that would not work. And so it's an institutional racism. It's not, just, this happened here. It's across the board to make farmers fail. And we're resilient. We're resilient folks. So we always, work to push through. And definitely what you're saying about the documentation. We also have other family members who have gone through the same thing, where land was given to them from, a former master might have given it to them. And then there's like all of these like legal issues of who has the paperwork, who is entitled to the land, all of those things. And so making sure that we have our books in order as well to make it harder. But even when we have everything ready, everything right, everything in order, everything perfect, even now, there's still like these issues. And a lot of people don't know the history of this country. They don't know the history of what's going on. Why are even people asking for reparations? Why is that even a thing? Why? And so I think it's important that we know the historical, things, and also the resilience. I mean, we've done a lot of great things despite in this country, having a lot of cooperatives where people have gotten together and bought land, and they've protected that land too. We'll be talking about some examples in the talk this week where, people hired militia to protect their farms from the KKK, and, other examples of resilience and things that we might have to go back to.
Thank you for that, Crystal. Hemi, did you want to weigh in on the conversation about the farmer injustice?
No, but just I can just say that we are going to be using curriculum developed by the API and organization. That it's led by API, Asian and Pacific Islander Trans and Queer folks. That it's something I repurposed after learning about it from the Allied Media Conference, and also from we're going to be using the events and timelines developed by the Soulfire Farm organization as well.
Thank you. So Black Yield Institute, I know Eric Jackson. We also have the Black Food Security Network out here with Pastor Heber Brown. Why are grassroots organizations, I guess we've already answered that question, but why are grassroots organizations like Black Yield and Black Church Food Security and others, and if you could name those others, especially here in Baltimore, are those doing prominent work that we really need to know about and really need to be supporting? Why do they need to take responsibility of food justice? And do we know how the needle is moving in this movement? How is it? I know in veganism we're still less than 95%. We're probably about less than 5%. So how is it moving in the world of Black farmer injustice?
Yeah, so there are a lot of great organizations doing awesome work for food justice. And Black Yield Institute, Soulfire Farm, the Black Church Food Security Network, some of the work that Farm Alliance of Baltimore is doing. We just formed a Black Farmers Caucus at the Future Harvest CASA conference. There was also an Indigenous conference caucus formed during that same time period, where hundreds of farmers have gotten together to share resources and information on how to better protect their farms. So I would say that these grassroots organizations are important because they know the people, they know the communities, they are actually out there doing the work. They're doing the physical work of knocking on doors and getting people into community spaces to talk about what's needed for their specific communities. Cherry Hill in Southwest Baltimore is one of the oldest Black suburbs in the United States. and they do not have a grocery store. In that area, there has not been a grocery store for over 20 years. And so organizations like Black Yield Institute, and specifically Black Yield Institute, has gone in and created a co-op space where right now there's a market every week, every Saturday, where they are showcasing locally grown produce from primarily Black farmers, as well as spices. There's vendors. There's a lot of activity going on, and no one else is doing anything. So I think that's when you get leaders and community together, and they decide that they know what they need, and they form these organizations to improve the quality of life for their constituents, for the people in their community. Um, with Black Yield in particular, in Cherry Hill, if you don't know, is a food insecure area. They, in addition to providing, like they provided food boxes during COVID, but they were growing food on land. And I think the importance of land sovereignty, they talk about land sovereignty a lot, um, was became more known. Like they lost access to a piece of land that they had that was owned by the city. And so it's very important that we are actually owning the land that we're growing on, so that people can't take away all of that blood, sweat, tears, money, everything that goes into getting your land ready for growing. So they are moving to another location in Southwest Baltimore, but those type of things are important. And I just feel like the grassroots organizations, the people who are part of them, they really care about what's happening in those communities. And it's different. Money is important. We need people to fund these organizations as well. But I feel like these organizations are really in tune with the community whenever you have like grassroots. And they've written several books as well to not only tell us about the history, but to tell us what we can do next. And I think that that's important as well.
Thank you for yeah, that's I gotta sometimes I get emotional with this type of stuff. You're tuning into Naijha Speaks. Naijha Speaks is a product of Black Veg Society. I am the executive director of Black Veg Society, where we are meeting people where they are on their holistic health, vegan, and plant-based journey. Please support us at blackvegsociety.org. Black Veg Society does support a lot of organizations locally, statewide in Maryland, and nationally. And your support for us supports everyone. This type of platform here was designed because my personality is just to promote good, promote people. And I appreciate Crystal and Hemi coming on here talking about the upcoming event. Let's talk about it then. Here's the flyer. What can we expect? What's on the agenda? Tell us exactly what's happening. Give us a rundown.
Sure. So for the agenda, we're going to invite people to first, obviously, we'll have a check-in, and we'll invite people. We want people to know that we're trying to make it trauma informed. Part of why Eric Jackson is joining is we're going to be talking about a lot of difficult events in history, and also the resistance that people have demonstrated in response as communities. So using the Soul Fire Farm timeline, we're going to have a little overview of general events that tie everything together. And then we're going to be making genograms. So we're going to use paper and pencil to draw a picture of the 2 or 5 people in your life that you want to think about and reflect on. And the nature of the emotional relationships you have with those people for the most part. Then Crystal and I are we're literally going to read through several events within the Soul Fire Farm timeline. I think we also did take one from the Native American Boarding School Coalition Truth and Healing curriculum as well, to help people situate themselves in that timeline. And then we'll have a Q&A discussion with Eric, myself, and Crystal. And then finally, there'll be an opportunity to reflect on what we've learned. There's going to be some, we're going to discuss as a group, but also individually. Crystal's going to lead us in a meditation at the end where people are invited to take personal action in their own lives.
Thank you so much for that, Hemi. I'm getting ready to put the registration because that was the next question. How do people get involved? I see it's a Zoom event. People have to register, correct? Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Register for the event. Um,
So,
and
and once they register, so we'll be sending out a paper that will show like the genogram, the key and everything, but we'll share that live as well. But they can use that to print off and follow along, or they can just use, like Hemi said, pen and paper, and we will guide them through the activity. But yes, they must register to attend.
will this be this is not a recorded thing. It's just live. They have to be there that day. There is no replay.
There is no replay, but it will be recorded for transcript purposes, so written transcript. And what we're going to do is share excerpts from the transcript in a Facebook group that's like specific for this series. So we will be recording it, but we will not be sharing the recording. So you must be there live to participate. I will also be giving out some e-versions of some of the books from Eric Jackson. And just let you all know, he also has this documentary, which I am actually in as well. So, and he has 2 new books coming out. So I will definitely be, giving that away to some of the participants, but you have to be there to fully participate. Because this is so interactive, I decided that I didn't want to share the recording because we'll be sharing personal things as well. But yes, we will have some excerpts from the transcripts available.
So if you are listening live, looking live, or if you're watching the replay, here is how you register. You go to foodjusticetalks.eventbrite.com. The event is scheduled for Saturday, February 25th. It runs from 1 to 2:30. So you have to be there live and be engaged and interact. So again, foodjusticetalks.eventbrite.com. What other impactful initiatives do you think will help solve the problem of food justice? I mean, because this problem has been going on, long before we were born, and our parents, and this is like, come on, man. Before there was any history, there was Black history, and we're still dealing with this stuff. What
Yeah.
else can we be doing?
I think it's important that we are aware of what's going on politically. So, like right now, the U.S. Farm Bill is up, and this is a good time to become familiar with what the U.S. Farm Bill is, how it impacts you. If you eat, it impacts you. It impacts the food that we subsidize. It affects farmers. They're finally starting to recognize urban farmers and starting to give funding to like the smaller farmers in urban farms as well. But we need people to take action and write to, your Congress and senators for both state and federal level. There are some laws on the book right now that are coming up for voting in New York State for animal agriculture, and whether or not the animals are in transport are getting food and water. Right now, they are not. And whether you're an herbivore, omnivore, whatever, to not feed these animals and not to give them water during these long transports in cold and heat is just absolutely inhumane, no matter how else you want to look at the food system. And so just making sure that, that transport is as safe as possible for the animals. Those are the type of things that we can participate in. They're like, check out your local government, because each state right now has something very specific to food justice and food security as well on the agenda. So nationally, we have the USDA, we have the US Farm Bill, but also on the local level, check your states to see what's going on there. It is a shame that we are still talking about food insecurity and food justice and land sovereignty in this country now. And it's a shame that we're still having to fight for access. But I do see change happening, and I do feel like people are starting to come together. It's lovely. I'm loving to see so many young farmers interested in this movement and interested in acquiring land. But when they acquire that land, we need to be able to protect them. We shouldn't have to protect them, but we should be in a position to protect them if it's needed.
I agree 100%. Hemi, do you want to add anything to that?
I just wanted to mention that, like, at least the initiative I'm creating with Grace Hussein and Gerald Kawa, the Unity Collective, it is a BIPOC-led response to the reality of being a BIPOC activist trying to build a more just food system. We did arise from a very specific, I would say, niche kind of area, which would be like that farmed animal protection movement. But so what we think is important is making sure that the community of activists that we know are trying to do this work, they have to have the resources that they need to bring their expertise into creating this just food system. And that's why we're working to elevate those voices of BIPOC-led groups and individuals. Very specifically, we're actively seeking out individuals and emerging collectives led by BIPOC to offer fiscal sponsorship. We're hoping to offer mutual learning workshops that will also lift up those voices, and then to do the research needed to make sure that BIPOC activists are funded equitably in the food justice space. And that's just one example. But yeah, as Crystal mentioned, like, there's a long history of food injustice, and so it's important for us as directly impacted individuals to organize around that topic.
Thank you for that, Hemi. Well, I'm gonna say, and I definitely got to plug this because a lot of folks, don't realize organizations like Black Veg Society and Veg Societies and even events, are put on to talk about things like that. One event that's coming up this summer that's been going on for years with a brief stop during the pandemic was Vegan Soul Fest. So Vegan Soul Fest is coming back in August for 2 days. And these are the type of things that we want to talk about and bring up and raise funding to donate and support organizations like Black Yield Institute, Black Church Food Security Network, and any other organizations that need this type of assistance. So please, show out, show up, go to Vegan Soul Fest this year. You can go to vegansoulfest.com to find out more information about that. What else can Black Veg Society be doing to get more involved? Are there any links that we can be putting on our website? What else can we be doing?
Yeah, so letting people know about the USDA grants for urban agriculture and innovation production, and I'll give you that link now for you to share if you would like. But yeah, just putting out information about what we have going on. So going to holistic-wellnessandhealth.com and going to the events page, I go to a lot of communities in person and teach people how to cook. I'll be at Black Yield Institute's market, Cherry Hill Market, this Saturday, showing people how to use the produce that they're actually selling there. So I think just, letting people know, just sharing the links as we have them available. They can also just go to my link tree as well.
All right, I'm posting that in the comments. Awesome. Emmy?
No, I don't have anything else to add there.
Okay. All right. So the call to action here is what?
To take action, learn about what's going on in your community, learn about past experiences as well, and the experiences of resiliency and learning from what others have done that was successful and doing that, even better now, and making sure that we have all of the tools we need to be completely successful in whatever that is, whether it's teaching people how to grow food or teaching people how to write laws. We need more people going into like lobbying. So those type of things. And just taking 10 minutes out of your day and putting on your calendar to contact one politician every month. By the end of the year, you will have contacted 12 politicians whether it's, calling them or emails, just making sure that they know that you really care about these issues. So I think the call to action is to actually engage, learn what's going on, show up to the talk next Saturday if you can. We're going to give you lots of action steps as well of how you can actually take steps now to improve the food system. If you, like I said earlier, if you eat, you need to care about this. It affects how much we pay for food. It affects, what we subsidize and what we don't. Because in this country, we don't subsidize a lot of, produce that we should be subsidizing if we're going to subsidize. So, looking at all of those things, looking at what they require for people to be able to get funding. I learned recently about, the whole, issue with, schools not serving milk. Like if you don't serve it, you don't, get certain funding, and that's a problem. So we need, especially when we know that most people are lactose intolerant. So that becomes like another issue of like racism, food injustice in that sense as well. So just making sure, we actually take the action. And if you need steps, definitely show up. We will provide that for you. If you can't show up, but you said, like, Crystal, I still need to know, contact me. You can do that. Contact me directly, and I will get those resources to you. And once you get those resources and you do those steps, share with your community, share with everyone, get on your Facebook, your Instagram, and let people know what's going on in Colorado, what's going on in your immediate community, and just take that action. It doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to take, hours of your time to do this work. You can just, take small steps. And for those who want to get back in the land, volunteer at some of the local farms, whether you're in a rural area or an urban area, there's usually a farm nearby that you can learn how to grow food. And that's, just taking that empowerment and getting that knowledge and passing that on to the next generation as well. So there's a lot of things you can do. You don't have to, and if you can't get out in the soil with those farms, see other ways you can help. They might need you to help them with, flyers or anything like that. Just find out what you can do and then start taking action.
I'm glad you said that, Crystal, because you got a good grind over there. You've been doing it for a long time. Me, I'll come and help once in a while. I've been out to the Freetown Farm in Columbia. I've been doing lives. I've had my daughter out there in the summer. Picking some things. So yeah, it is definitely a grind and is much needed. So you are definitely living your life's purpose, and I'm sure you know that. How best can we connect with you, each of you, in your work? So sell yourself again, Crystal.
Yes. So follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Holistic Wellness and Health. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that's at Holistic Wellness and Health, and put in my name, Crystal. You should be able to find that pretty easily. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. I go show videos usually once a week, how to use farm fresh produce. And now that we're going into spring and summer, I'll be showing more gardening and farming videos as well. And I think those are the main ways. And you can also email me, cforman at holistic-wellnessandhealth.com. If you go to the website, holistic-wellnessandhealth.com, and go to the event section, you can see all of the events we have going on. You can see all of the recipes we have as well. So definitely, follow at Holistic Wellness and Health and check out our website as well.
Crystal can take things from a community supported agricultural box and it becomes a whole meal. Like, she's fantabulous with that. Hemi.
During this ongoing COVID pandemic, the online community space is where I'd love to meet you. So please come to our event on Saturday from 1 to 2:30 Eastern time. That's my favorite way to meet folks right now is video online. But I also, you can find me on linkedin.com at Hemi Kim, but it's not like as cool as the event on Saturday.
That now LinkedIn is where, you know what? Let me share it in the comments. Well, I respect that. All right, there we go. Find Hemi on LinkedIn. Also doing amazing work, getting people connected collectively. So that's wonderful. So please follow Hemi. Again, it is a pleasure having you two on today. For this special edition, Black History Month, but Black History is 365. So show up, show out every day, learn more, all you can about history. Because again, I always say before there was any history, there was Black history. We were not always slaves. So let's just re-educate ourselves on this whole fact. We are powerful people, and we were doing and are still doing amazing things. Let's ground ourselves in the history. We need to learn about food justice. Look at that, 1685 all the way to 2023. Show out Saturday, February 25th, 1 to 2. Please register on the Eventbrite site. Let me bring that up again. So you know, Food Justice Talks, foodjusticetalks.eventbrite.com. Register and engage in the interactive session. And let them know how you feel about it and that you want more, because again, this is going to be a series. So this is not the last one. This is the first one. I thank you for tuning in to Naijha Speaks. Please like, subscribe, share, tell a friend. Someone you know needs to be at this event, and they need to be there next Saturday, not the other Saturday and not the Saturday after that. The February 25th Saturday. Okay. Again, I appreciate you, Crystal, Hemi. Until we connect again, please stay well, stay blessed, and peace out.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Love your energy. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.